When it comes to sports debates, few ignite passion like generational comparison. Fans love to argue what Bill Russell would do in the era of Giannis, how Jim Brown would fare against today's modern defenses, or whether Michael Vick's explosiveness would translate even better in the RPO-heavy NFL of 2025. But perhaps no player better captures this timeless thought experiment than Randall Cunningham, the original dual-threat quarterback, an athletic marvel from another time, who is finally being celebrated the way he always should have been. And now, nearly 2 decades after he last suited up, Cunningham finds himself watching a spiritual successor dominate the league. Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP, face of the Eagles, and a modern example of what the league can look like when it embraces the very style that once made Cunningham controversial. Cunningham recently opened up to The Athletic's Zach Kiefer in a wide-ranging interview that was equal parts emotional, insightful, and redemptive. For Cunningham, the journey from misunderstood pioneer to beloved elder statesman is nearly complete. And Hurts, intentionally or not, has played a key role in helping that healing process along. Let's make one thing clear. Randall Cunningham in today's NFL would be a problem. At 6'4" and 215 pounds, with the agility of a wide receiver and the arm of a rocket technician, Cunningham possessed a rare physical profile that no one really knew how to use in the 1980s and early 1980s and early 90s. Sure, he made highlight reels, but Cunningham was often treated more like a curiosity than a franchise savior. Coaches like Rick Kotite viewed his improvisational flair as a liability instead of an asset. Stay in the pocket, they'd say, trying to cage a wild stallion with a clipboard. But those who saw Cunningham play knew. They knew he could make throws on the run that defied physics. They knew he could flip a game with a single scramble. They knew he wasn't just a quarterback. He was a revolution stuck in the wrong era. Statistically, he stood tall even by modern standards. In 1990, he was the NFL MVP runner-up, logging over 3,400 passing yards and nearly 1,000 rushing yards, a feat that wouldn't be equaled until the Lamar Jackson era. He threw touchdowns, ran them in, and even punted, twice named an All-American punter at ULE. The man was a walking contradiction to conventional wisdom, and yet for all his brilliance, Cunningham was never fully embraced. In Philadelphia, he felt the weight of expectations and criticism that came crashing down whenever the Eagles faltered. The relationship between player and city was complicated, talented but tense, historic but never fully harmonious. Fast forward to 2025. Jalen Hurts is everything the modern NFL celebrates: poised, mobile, intelligent, and emotionally grounded. The reigning Super Bowl MVP. Hurts led the Eagles to a dominant 40-22 win over the Chiefs in Super Bowl licks, cementing his place among the league's elite. But what makes Hurts even more compelling is that he is the realized version of what Cunningham could have been if the league had known what to do with him. When Cunningham talks about Hurts, it's with admiration, but also with the sense of an older artist watching a new one perform, with tools that didn't exist in his own time. He's not fake and phony, and he's in the minority on that. Their relationship is grounded in mutual respect. Hurts honors the past, at one point placing a Hayes-back scrambling hat in his locker, a direct homage to Cunningham's infamous rebuke of Rick Kotite. The gesture wasn't just playful, it was profound. It showed that Hurts understands the history he's part of and more importantly, the shoulders he stands on. Philadelphia is not an easy city. It demands toughness. It is passionate, unfiltered, and, at times, ruthless. Randall Cunningham felt that pressure acutely. During his playing days, he often disguised himself in public. Hoodie, but something changed this year. At Super Bowl Licks in New Orleans, Cunningham showed up wearing a head-to-toe custom Eagles fleece suit, with his name and number on the back. No hoodie, no disguise, no shame. For 3 hours, he was just another Eagles fan. And it was glorious. Then, at February Super Bowl in New Orleans, he ditched the disguise. Kiefer wrote, "No suite, no hoodie, no sunglasses." Instead, the 62-year-old wore a head-to-toe Eagles fleece suit, cheering like a Philly diehard. That moment, loud, proud, and public, was decades in the making. It marked a full-circle moment. The prodigal quarterback finally at peace with his past, embraced by a city that had finally come to understand what it once had. Every sport is haunted by ghosts of greatness. We love comparing the eras, not just for debate's sake, but because it helps us make sense of legacy. Could Bill Walsh's West Coast offense have unlocked even more from Cunningham? Would today's RPO-heavy schemes turn his legs into nightmares for defenders? These questions are impossible to answer but irresistible to ask. And in Cunningham's case, they're especially relevant because the NFL has finally caught up to the player he once was. Quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, and of course Jalen Hurts all owe something to the trail Cunningham blazed, even if the league didn't always thank him for it at the time. Imagine Randall Cunningham with modern coaching, spread formations, quarterback protections, and a franchise that built around his strengths instead of suppressing them. It's not a fantasy. It's a missed opportunity that the league is only now beginning to rectify through players like Hurts. There's a beauty in seeing your vision fulfilled by someone else. That's what Cunningham is experiencing now. Though he never got the Super Bowl ring or the unqualified admiration in his prime, he is living a sort of second-hand redemption through Hurts' success. He's also reclaiming his story, not as a forgotten great, but as a foundational figure in the evolution of the quarterback position. His place in history is no longer just a trivia answer or a YouTube highlight. It's becoming part of the main narrative. He knows what was taken from him, but he doesn't dwell on it. Instead, he celebrates what is being given to the next generation. Sports can be ruthless in real time, but forgiving in hindsight. Randall Cunningham is finally receiving the recognition that eluded him for so long. But his story also serves as a warning. When institutions resist change, they can miss greatness right in front of them. The NFL didn't fail to develop Cunningham because he wasn't talented. It failed because it couldn't see past its own biases. It wasn't ready for a quarterback who moved differently, thought differently, and played differently. It wasn't ready for someone who blurred the lines between traditional roles. And that's why Jalen Hurts' success is so much more than a football story. It's a validation of evolution. It's proof that when you meet talent with openness, not skepticism, magic can happen. Randall Cunningham's legacy will always be complex. He was a dazzling talent in a rigid system, a revolutionary figure ahead of his time, and now a symbol of grace and
Bây giờ mình sẽ dán hai cái quai này. Đây, phần quai này mình sẽ dán một cái giấy to hơn một xíu nha. Mình sẽ gắn xuống đây nha. Tiếp mặt bên này nhé. Giữ một lúc cho keo nó khô này, sau đó mình sẽ gắn nốt hai cái phần ở bên dưới này nha. Tiếp mặt bên này nha. Như vậy là mình đã được hai cái quai như thế này. Tiếp theo mình sẽ dán cái phần quai tay cầm ở phần trên này nhé. Giờ mình sẽ gắn nó lên đây nha. Bây giờ mình sẽ dùng những cái hình sticker như này để trang trí nhé. Giờ mình sẽ gắn những cái viên ngọc đính đá này nhé. Mình sẽ gắn thêm một viên màu vàng.